Before the video begins, I want to make a quick announcement. My good friend Reed, also known as RadAustin27, is selling these awesome zombie posters down in the description. If you want to check them out, a link is down below. Be sure, though, to use the coupon code JJ25. A link is down below. So let's talk for a few moments about Dr. Monty. Where the hell is he? I think this might be my biggest gripe with Tag Der Toten and the ending to Zombies. Monty is notably absent from this map, and I kind of take issue with it, especially when it comes to the ending of everything. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually do like the ending to Zombies. I know much of the sentiment around the community is that the ending to Tag Der Toten and Zombies was crap, but don't mistake my opinions with those of somebody who doesn't like the ending. Personally, I'm a fan of the ending to Zombies and Tag Der Toten. Our community's fickle, and Treyarch had a really difficult task in ending Zombies. You know, I think they could have ended it a million different ways, and we would not have been happy with any of them. You know, ending a 10-year-long story that was never designed to end is quite difficult to do, and I thought they actually did a half-decent job with what they had. I especially like what they did with themes. A big theme in Zombies is greed. Richtofen was initially driven by greed and bloodlust, and then we start to see this affect our characters going forward. You know, Richtofen wanted to be recognized as the one to save everyone, but it was this greed that perpetuated everybody's torment in the cycle, and he would talk about how nobody was ever going to remember him, and Dr. Monty was driven by this want and this desire to continue existing, and these people weren't inherently evil. They were just driven by greed and their own desires. And it took somebody like Nikolai to put those desires aside and say, in order to end everything, we need to end ourselves. And nobody is ever going to remember what happened here tonight, but it'll make for a better universe. So I actually really like what is going on in the ending to Zombies. I'm just kind of annoyed that Dr. Monty doesn't really play a role in it at all. Zombies has traditionally had a villain problem. There really wasn't much of a villain for most of the series. I mean, I suppose you could describe Richtofen as the anti-hero, and I guess that makes him the villain of the story, but in a way we were always kind of rooting for Richtofen. Zombies never had somebody we could exactly root against. I think Treyarch then answered this problem, or this question of who is the main villain in Zombies with Dr. Monty. They invented him around Black Ops 3 and started to kind of push him into the story. And he was shoehorned into Black Ops 3 when we learned about him through the Gobblegums. Then in Gorod Krovi and Rev, he was really introduced to us and then fleshed out as a character. Then, at Blood of the Dead, he was finally established as the main antagonist. He was the person we were to stop, and Nikolai learns about this when reading the Chronorium. It's finally after Alpha Omega that he crosses the line and becomes the villain of the storyline. And you would think at this point, after he crossed the line and murders Dr. Maxis, that he's going to be the main antagonist of the next Zombies map, or at least the final Ether Zombies map. I mean, this man is willing to go so far as to eat Maxis alive in an attempt to stop him, but won't go any further? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Especially in this scene right here, where Samantha teleports over to the house, and then Monty just kind of stays on the other side of the house. Why is he stuck in the house? Why can't he crawl into the teleporter and go chase after the rest of our characters? He killed Maxis. Why can't he just jump into the teleporter, hit the button, go, and then murder the rest of the crew? Why is he willing to go so far to kill Maxis, but not so far to chase people? Is he stuck in the house? There was no explanation. Maybe, I suppose, we defeat Dr. Monty by allowing the children to escape the house. Maybe that's the way we defeat Monty. But that was never really explained to us. And it almost seemed like we were going to get a little bit of a battle. Like Samantha was going to get her revenge. You saw how angry she was after witnessing the murder of her father. it almost only feels right that she gets the opportunity for vengeance and the opportunity to go after Dr. Monty. And it almost seemed like they were hinting at this too with the intro cinematic, where he was asking Samantha to do something, and you're like, well, what is something that Samantha can do? Well, Samantha's clearly super powerful. She might be somebody strong enough to take on what seems to be an all-knowing, all-powerful being like Dr. Monty. Why not? But it never happens. Monty is such a villain that he's willing to go out of his way to murder Maxis, and his motivations make sense too, The whole reason Dr. Monty wants us to remain in the cycle, and the whole reason that Dr. Monty is going to kill Maxis, is because he knows if we get our way, then he will cease to exist. So, he has pretty compelling reasons to stop us, but I guess they're not compelling enough to ever show up in Tag Der Toten, I guess? I honestly don't get it, and I've tried coming up with different explanations in my head. I thought, well, maybe our characters need to stay in the forest because Dr. Monty can't reach them when they're in the forest or something like that, and that's why they had to use Victus to do their bidding, because Dr. Monty doesn't know about Victus and Richtofen's connection to them. So maybe they're able to kind of slip under his radar and get what they need, such as the Apothecon device. That might be the explanation, but we've seen Monty in the forest before, and I just, again, don't understand why he would be trapped in the house. The only explanation that I could even come up with that seems remotely plausible is more of a cynical explanation and isn't even something related to the story, and it's just perhaps zombies didn't have the budget and couldn't afford Malcolm McDowell, so they figure, well, if we can't get the voice actor who plays Monty to be in our story, we just won't include Monty in our story, and we'll pretend that we didn't just spend the past 3 to 4 years building him up as the villain, literally right up until the last map when Samantha watches him murder his father. I mean, you'll notice Monty is awfully silent in this game, in his, I guess, one appearance. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't like being cynical about zombies, and I don't like talking about Treyarch having budget issues with zombies, because we don't really know the full story. We're just making conjecture. But it's the only logical explanation I can think of. As far as, story, I don't even think I can make the argument that there is no good way to incorporate him into Tag Der Toten, because maybe he could be, a part of the final boss fight, where maybe the boss fight is Dr. Monty finally finding Victus. Dr. Monty, I guess, realizes what's going on with Victus, tracks them down all the way to Siberia, Call of the Dead, and then gets into a fight with them and tries to stop them. And maybe with the assistance of Samantha, they're able to defeat him or something like that, or they can trap him in some way. Something to prevent him from attacking our crew and getting in their way and stopping them. I don't know. They could have done something like that, but they didn't. For some reason, they chose not to. I don't know. I think he would have been a good boss fight. And that's just, to me, a shame. I don't know why Treyarch needed to do all this build-up and not include him in the ending to Zombies as well as the final map. Now, one thing I will say is that I'm not totally down on the fact that he wasn't the boss fight, even though I had just pitched that idea. That was just one way you could incorporate him. Something Rad Austin 27 mentioned in his live stream yesterday that I found really interesting was that he appreciated the fact that it wasn't just a big punch out between, say, Samantha and Dr. Monty, and I think I agree with him. The ending might have felt a little bit hollow if, in a cutscene, we just watched Dr. Monty and Samantha fire big blue beams of energy at each other, and in the end, Samantha wins because I guess Samantha, a 10-year-old girl, is more powerful than Monty. It feels lazy. If I'm writing my big anticlimactic fight between my villain and my hero, and then I write, and then the hero shot a big blue laser beam at the bad guy and destroyed him. That's not entertaining. So I actually am not totally against the fact that the zombie storyline didn't end in a fist fight between Samantha and Monty, especially when Monty was never really the true villain of the storyline. If anything, the true villain of the storyline is probably Richthofen, and even then he doesn't really present himself as a villain in Tag Der Toten. There really is no villain in this map. And I suppose you can make the argument that that harkens back to what Zombies originally was, where there was no true villain. But I don't know. It almost feels like they just completely rewrote the story after Alpha Omega. Like, they had all these ideas of a grand boss fight between our characters and Monty, and then maybe they couldn't get Monty on board with the project, and we're just like, oh no, what do we do? And then wrote a completely new ending from scratch. I don't think that's actually the case. I just can't come up with a good reason as to why Dr. Monty wouldn't be included in the ending to Zombies. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think. What are your ideas and theories as to why Dr. Monty is notably absent from the ending to Zombies as well as Alpha Omega? And again, I want to reiterate this fact that do not pin me as a guy who does not like the ending to Zombies, because I will go on the record and say I actually do enjoy and appreciate the ending to Tag Der Toten and Zombies as a whole. So I want to just get that on the record. I just have one gripe with the fact that Dr. Monty is nowhere to be found in Tag Der Toten as well as the ending. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. I'm going to be continuing to cover Zombies as well as the story behind Tag Der Toten even after the zombie storyline has ended. So if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. Have a wonderful day, and bye.